So tonight I am thinking to talk about the Buddha, because people have a wrong impression, opinion about the Buddha. The general belief is the Buddha is a great man, he is a holy man, very learned, very intelligent, religious teacher, very deep knowledge and understanding about philosophy and psychology. That's all. Nobody knows what enlightenment that he gained. This you can understand when you compare with all the other religious teachers, philosophers, great thinkers, very highly intellectuals all over the world. The nature of the enlightenment. In brief, what did he gain as the Buddhahood or the enlightenment? And how did he gain this? What did he do to gain this enlightenment? That is what many people cannot understand. Because the common belief is that divine inspiration must be there. Some sort of divine power must be there. Because all the other religious teachers who appeared on this earth revealed that they were inspired or they were given a message by the God. But they never talk anything about enlightenment. The Buddha said, Name acharyo atthe sadiso me navijjati sadeva kasmin lokasmin nathi me patipukka. Here, how he introduced himself. Name acharyo atthe. I never had any teacher to teach me to gain this enlightenment. But he had many teachers when he was a young prince to study languages and arts and science and philosophy and religions also. After that he studied under various religious teachers, but he could not satisfy with their teaching. He could not gain what he was seeking for. Finally, by using his own effort and knowledge and understanding, what he has cultivated life after life. Remember, a person cannot gain enlightenment or attain arahanthood or Buddhahood or sainthood instantly. And another person cannot appoint or promote a person as a saint or arahantas or the Buddha. Just like a doctor cannot appoint his son to make a doctor. A lawyer cannot appoint his son to become a lawyer until or unless they study the subject. In the same manner, there is nobody in this world who can appoint or promote a person to be a saint or arahantas or the Buddha. They have to work for that. So when you read some of those previous birth stories as Jataka stories, you can understand what he has done, how he had to sacrifice everything, how he had to suffer, how much he had to tolerate, how he has cultivated virtues and good qualities, how he developed his knowledge and understanding and wisdom, how he has served mankind, how he has sacrificed the whole life for the benefit of the mankind. He has done all these things for the sake of his enlightenment, not for his own salvation. So, he went on developing and cultivating all the good qualities and the virtues and knowledge and understanding. Again he went on reducing all the evil, bad habits and wicked things from his mind. Then he purified the mind. So, now ingredients, potentials are there already. But he could not gain this at once without using his effort and knowledge. In our case also, we have our own intrinsic talent, understanding, skill. But we have to use full effort to make use of them. Otherwise, we do not know what to do. You know, well-known Sanskrit saying, Nahi suktasya sinhasya pravisanti mukhe mugra. Lion is very clever to catch other animals. The other animal shiver after listening the lion roar. Even then, if that lions go and sleep whole day and night, animals never come and enter into his mouth. He must go out for hunting animals. Nahi suktasya sinhasya pravisanti mukhe mriga. Other animals never enter into the mouth. In the same way, if we do not know how to make use of our talent and knowledge and understanding and skill, we are useless. So what happened to the Buddha? Even at the last birth, although all the good qualities are there, I have mentioned this, ignorance, certain percentage of his illusions and delusions and ignorance are still active. So he had to remove these minor mental hindrances. So when he removed all these things, then he gained this enlightenment. Then what is this knowledge or enlightenment that we gain? There is nothing for us to gain from outside. Everything is there. Now in our mind, in our subconscious mind, all our good qualities, bad qualities, knowledge are there, but under domain, submerged, covered with so many rubbish. That is why we behave like this. So one day, when we could manage to remove all these things one after the other, then those hidden treasure, the storehouse of consciousness, which is called Alaya Vijnana, get the chance to project. So we cannot gain this simply by praying and asking some favors from heaven or from outside. That is why it is necessary for us to cultivate our own effort. Now you are here You are educated. You know many things, many languages, subjects, science, technology. Even then, you realized still a spiritual development in your mind is not matured, still very poor. So the purpose of your coming here to remove your misconception, imaginations, wrong ideas that you maintain in your mind to gain more knowledge and understanding, right understanding. Then slowly you will be able to get rid of this. I have noticed this. I have been associating with many of these members and devotees for more than 30 to 35 years. I was watching from the very beginning up to this date how changes have taken place in their mind. What sort of mentality or belief, ideas they had at the beginning, and how far they have understood the truth or the Dhamma or reality, how they have given up so many unnecessary things that they have been practicing in the name of religion, and how much they have cultivated their way of life to practice patience, understanding, to avoid calamities, misunderstanding, enmity. This is called development. So every day you gain something. Then going on developing and developing, after a few years, you will come to know. Now your understanding is changing. Changing means you give up certain ideas that you have accommodated in your mind, and you are trying to gain more facts and reasons. Remember, you cannot learn anything without unloading many things that you have learned earlier. This is the conflict that many people are facing. The former belief and ideas and concept clash with certain new ideas and concept. Then you are not strong enough to compare. Then people say, now I am confused. I do not know what to do, whether to give up or to maintain. This juncture is a very, very sensitive. And you do not know what to do. Again, when we come to various schools of Buddhism, who are brought up from their childhood according to their traditions, Mahayana traditions, Theravada traditions, and Vajrayana traditions, they have three different channels. Again, classes. Now you do not know which one is correct and what to do. This is the biggest problem in this country that we are facing. But in other countries like Sri Lanka, Thailand, Burma and other countries, they are not facing this problem. Because they have their own system, own method according to their culture, way of life. Here, mixed culture, and mixed religions, different denominations, different concepts. For a certain times you follow this method. After that you shift over to the other one, then you follow that method. Again you shift over to another one, then you follow that method. In the end you get fed up with all these things, throw away everything, and no Buddhism also. That is why I always advise you not to follow strictly to any of those traditions with the Mahayana, Theravada, Vajrayana, this Yana, that Yana. Try to learn what the Buddha taught. That is more than enough for you. Now let us come back. So my subject is to tell you how the Buddha gained his enlightenment. You know, he did not gain anything from anybody. No teacher, no divine power, no God, no gurus. Just now I have explained what he has done during his previous birth. So after fulfilling all his duties, cultivating all the great qualities and the virtues, he had full confidence that he can gain his enlightenment. So he came and sat down under the Bodhi tree with a strong determination. What is that determination? I never get up from this place until I gain my enlightenment. It is better for me to die here without going away from this place if there is no enlightenment. So I am willing to die here under this tree. With that strong determination, he started his meditation. Of course, this is not the first time that he is going to meditate. He has when he was a small baby, you can remember, the father, King Suddhodana, has taken him to the paddy field, and he was playing under a tree. So when they were having this festival, ploughing festival, this small baby started to meditate. Can you imagine? And he has developed the jhana meditation and started to go higher and higher and higher like a bird. Then the father came and told him, he worshipped, saying, this is my second worship to you, my dear son. The father worshipped this baby. So, that is the experience he has developed during his previous birth. So, he used only one simple method under that Bodhi tree. That is Anapanasati. Ana, apana. Ana means inhaling. Apana means exhaling. Breathe in, breathe out. We are also doing every day. Why we cannot get enlightenment? Not only the Buddha. Every day we are breathing, isn't it? But no enlightenment. Do you know, every time when we breathe in, what we do, we take the cosmic energy into our body. When we breathe out, and all the polluted elements and energies come out from the body. But we do this without concentration, without mindfulness. So when we divert our mind towards this inhaling, exhaling or breathing, mindfully we take the cosmic energy into our body. Then it will become effective. Whatever we do without mindfulness, very hard to get the real effect. Then he develop and develop and develop. Then jhana, patama jhana, dutiya jhana, tatiya jhana, chatutha jhana, then all the other stages, up and down, then up and down. He went on. Then he gained his enlightenment. The same method he practiced when he was about to die. He did not do that to gain enlightenment. Again he attained Patamajjan, first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth, and up and down. When the last breath, when he reached up to the fourth jhana, fourth stage, he died, passed away. Then what did he gain there as enlightenment? Trividha jnana, three kinds of knowledge. The knowledge divided into three groups. Trividha, three groups. Jnana, knowledge. What are those three? Pubbhe nivasanussati jnana, Chutupapata jnana, Asavakha jnana. These are the three. Now this is called enlightenment. When we analyze these three kinds of jnana or knowledge, wisdom, that wisdom is called enlightenment. What is that? First one. Pubbhe nivasanussati jnana. Recalling or concentrating all his previous birth, life after life, life after life, he went on concentrating. He got this knowledge. That is why in Dhammacakka Sutra, the first sermon, the Buddha said to his disciple, Pubbhe ananussutesu dhammesu. I never had this experience previously or earlier. This is the first time I gained this understanding. Because those 5 disciples, when the Buddha approached them, they did not believe that this person gained his enlightenment. They thought he is going to bluff them. Then the Buddha said, you were with me for a long time. Did I say that I gained this knowledge and enlightenment at that time? No. This is the first time I am telling you, I gained this enlightenment. Pubbhe ananussutesu dhammesu. The Dhamma, the knowledge, the supreme wisdom that I never had in my life. Then those 5 disciples believed what he said. Then they respected him as the Buddha. So, this knowledge, we also have this knowledge. But this knowledge is completely closed, covered with so many rubbish and dirts and defilements that we have accumulated life after life. See the difference now. The Buddha's way of life and our way of life. Compare these two. Now in the case of the Buddha, life after life he went on reducing all the dirt, rubbish from his mind. In our case, we are going on increasing every day in our mind. You can see the difference between the Buddha and us. Can you imagine how many kind of rubbish, dirty, wicked things are boiling in our mind every day? Our anger, our jealousy, our selfishness, our stupidity, intolerance, cunningness, all these things are dirty rubbish. But in the case of the Buddha, he went on reducing all these things. So we cannot understand anything because our knowledge, our understanding, our wisdom is completely covered. So one day we also can gain the same knowledge, same wisdom, same enlightenment if you use our effort to cleanse our mind without increasing more and more rubbish and dirt into our mind. It's very sensible, meaningful saying, without any miraculous power. So he got this knowledge. So he has revealed only few what he has done. Then the second knowledge is called Chutupapata Jnana. Chutta and Upapata. Chutta means depart or departure, dying. Upapata means becoming. He got the knowledge to understand about all those living beings on this earth that exist, where they have come from, their previous birth, where they were, and who they are. And all those who have departed from this world, and where they are, and where rebirth taken place. That knowledge. Not only about him. To understand where they have come from and where do they go. Birth and death and birth and death. That is called Chutupapata Jnana. The last one is called Asavakhaya Jnana. Asava means all the mental impurities or defilements. Asava. Khaya means destroy, completely eradicated. Jnana. The knowledge that he gained by eradicating all the mental impurities. This is the most important aspect. Even in the case of Arahantas, there are certain noticeable weaknesses. Although they do not commit bad things. They are sansaric habits. There was a monk during the Buddha's time. When he talked to others, he always used very abusive language. Never respect others. Very rude. He never used polite language. But he is an arahant. Then the other disciples came and reported to the Buddha. That monk says he is an arahant. Others also know he is an arahant. But the way how he talked, It's very difficult for us to understand that he is an arahant. Very rude. No polite language. Then the Buddha said, do you know why this particular monk speak like this? During so many previous births, he was born as a Brahmin. Do you know, Brahmins have very strong superiority complex. They are the masters, they are the teachers, and they are the wise people, intelligent people. All the others belong to low caste. So Brahmins do not respect others. All the others must respect Brahmins. So this habit is still working in his mind. Habits. So Arahantas also maintain certain habits, human weaknesses, but they are not bad things. Cruelty, anger, jealousy, selfishness never appear in their mind, but human weaknesses as habits. Here, asava-khaya jnana. The Buddha is the only teacher who is free from that minor human weakness also. You cannot find that minor weakness also, emotional weakness. The Buddha has no emotion. He do not laugh, never cry, because no emotion. But he shows his smiling face. Whenever he shows his smiling face, then the disciples come and ask, today we saw your smiling face. Because they knew there is something. When there is something in his mind, he shows his smiling face. Then come and ask. Then he tells, do you know so and so, he tells the previous birth story, what happened, very peculiar incident. That is why I showed my smiling face. But very humorous. His way of preaching, when you study very carefully, very humorous. But he never laughed like us. He never cried, because no emotion. We do this because we have a lot of emotion. So asava-khaya jnana, all the mental impurities completely eradicated from his mind. Now you can understand what sort of mind is this. We cannot imagine, we cannot understand. So this is called the Buddhahood. Again, there are 6 kinds of a special characteristic, unique features, wisdom in the Buddha's enlightenment that we cannot find in any other religious teacher's knowledge or wisdom. These 6 kinds of extraordinary is called Shat Asadharana Jnana. Asadharan, incomparable. There is nobody in this world that we can compare with the Buddha's wisdom, enlightenment, especially these 6. But some of those good qualities, virtues, knowledge, wisdom, we can find in other religious teachers. We should not say that they do not know anything. Other religious teachers also have developed their knowledge, their wisdom, their understanding, their purity. Yes, we cannot deny it. We can respect them, no harm. But when you study these special characteristics, so asadharana jnana, these 6 kind of wisdom we cannot find in any of them. So what are those 6? The first one is called sabbanyutta jnana. Sabba means everything, all. In simple language we use all-knowing one. One who can understand everything that which exists in this whole universe, not only in this world. Again, the whole universe divided into 3. Kamaloka, Rupaloka, Arupaloka. Kamaloka, sensual material world. Human beings, animals, and some devas. They are crazy for indulging, enjoying their senses, sensual pleasure. That is why there is no peace in those places. Animals, you can see how they fight and kill each other because of that pleasure. Human beings, you can see how they fight and kill and bluff and swindle and do all sort of disaster because of their pleasure. Bluffing, swindling, cheating, killing, destroying, pleasure. But other living beings are free from these problems because they are not crazy for this pleasure. So the Buddha is a teacher who knows the real nature of the existence in Kamaloka, sensual world. By knowing this, he has given proper guidance, instructions, advice for us to adjust our way of life. When he preached to Devas and Brahmas, he used different language. Not the same thing that he used to preach human beings. He preached to human beings by considering human weaknesses, human way of life. When he talked to Devas and Brahmas, he preached to them according to their way of life. You can see a lot of differences. When he preached about dukkha, suffering, he elaborated how we suffer from our conception in the mother's womb up to the last breath. After that last breath, how again another conception takes place. Then he explained how we suffer. Jatipi dukkha, vyadipi dukkha, jarapi dukkha, maranampi dukkham. Many kind of dukkha and dukkha and dukkha. But when he preached to Devas and Brahmas, he does not use many kind of dukkha, because they are free from many of those dukkha, suffering that we are facing. Birth is a suffering. Mother and baby both had to suffer equally. But Devas and Brahmas are free from this. No mothers, no fathers there. But they enjoy their lives. No old age. They exist as they appeared. No sicknesses, because the formations of physical body and the metabolisms and the elements not like ours, completely different, free from sicknesses, old age. Death, of course, not free from death. But in our case, when we are going to die, we have to suffer and physically and mentally go and dragging and dragging and dragging. But when they die, just like this, switch off, finish. Without their knowledge. That is their way of life. So when they preach to those devas, according to their way of life and mentality. Again, Arupaloka, Kamaloka, Rupaloka, Brahma world, fine material world, where those Brahmas experience more peace, and again Arupaloka. Life exists without any physical body. We cannot understand. Yes, it is not impossible. And they are free from all the physical burdens. Whole our life we are spending to look after, to attend this physical body. In the end we have to die as unsatisfied living being, without any satisfaction. But those Brahmas are free because they have no physical body to attend, to look after, to feed, to wash, to clean. But life is there. So he knew, he realized the nature of existence in Kamaloka, Rupaloka, Arupaloka, three kinds of worlds is there. Did other religious teachers explain all these things in this way? Some of them have not realized even what this earth is. At the beginning they thought this earth is flat. When Galileo discovered this is not flat, this is round, they had to keep quiet, but they were very angry. Sabbanyuta jnana, the knowledge that he gained, there is nothing in this world that he cannot understand. When it is necessary, he explained. There were few occasions that he has mentioned to his disciples. What I have explained according to my knowledge is only this much, which are very important for you to cultivate your life. The things that I have not explained to you, just like in the jungle he said like this, leaves, or in the whole jungle, the leaves in my hand, see how much, only I have revealed only this much. This is the nature of Sabbanyuta jnana, all-knowing one. The second one is Asavakkaya jnana, just now I explained. Asava and Kaya, all the mental defilement. Again I have shown the differences. Even Arahantas also maintain human emotion. So the Buddha is the only person, religious teacher, who never maintained human emotion. The mind is completely pure from any kinds of mental impurities or defilements. So he got that knowledge to understand everything. And in our case, we cannot find out where our knowledge is, where our wisdom is. All were covered and hidden If you want to discover where our wisdom is, we have to remove all the dirt that we have loaded during our life after life. By learning any kind of worldly subject under the sun and the moon, you cannot remove anything from your mind. You accommodate more and more dirt. You create more imagination, speculations, more concept and more belief without maintaining reality. Because you try to justify. Your knowledge, your understanding is more accurate. Your knowledge is far superior to others. That clearly shows you are still ignorant. Third one is Maha Karuna Samapatti Jnana. Mahayana schools of Buddhism always emphasize two great qualities of the Buddha. Maha Karuna, Maha Panya. These two great qualities are just like two wings of a bird to fly. Mahayana schools of Buddhism always emphasize two great qualities of the Buddha. Maha Karuna, Maha Panya. These two great qualities are just like two wings of a bird to fly. A bird cannot fly by using only one wing, must have both. The Buddha not only cultivated all the good qualities, but also cultivated knowledge, understanding and wisdom. Maha Karuna, Maha Panya. Maha Karuna Samapatti Jnana. Compassionate love. Maha Karuna. Kindness, love, sympathy, compassion. We can analyze all these words. In our kindness, in our love, in our sympathy, we experience some bad effect, side effect. Take love. Husband and wife love each other. Yes, love is very good. The same love can create enmity, anger, jealousy, grudge, and develop hatred and can kill each other. Love is the cause. See the side effect. That is why one person say, I love you and my love loves me, not you love me. You can understand this? I love you. Because of my love, you love me. If I don't love, you never love me. So that means my love returned to me. This is the uncertainty of this love. Kindness. You extend your kindness towards others by helping others, supporting others. You maintain some sort of ulterior motive in your mind. One day you need something in return, reward from them. At least, thank you. You grumble later, I have done him so much, he did not say even thank you. Then he gets fed up with him, he gets angry with him, he criticizes and condemns. This is the weakness of kindness. See the difference. All these are emotional. Gives temporary satisfaction, in the end create enmity, jealousy, anger, hatred, finish. But this compassionate love is completely free from all these emotional things, because they extend their compassion without expecting anything in return. It is a goodwill, without asking anything from them. That is called metta, compassion, goodwill, compassionate love. And other religious teachers, even Arahantas, also extend their Mahakaruna, their compassion towards others. But when you survey and observe how far they can extend their loving kindness, those who preach by extending their loving kindness towards others, thou shalt not kill, kindness, love. Thou shalt not kill only human beings. Limited. Stop that love, that kindness from there. So they can kill all the other living beings. See the difference now. If not, others extend their loving kindness and compassion towards only all those who live on this earth, every living being, but not those living beings who live in the water. If not, some others extend their loving kindness towards all those living beings who exist in this planet, but they cannot extend further. They have no knowledge, understanding that there are fortunate and unfortunate living beings, a spirit, ghost, devil, devas, brahmas, some animals, some other living beings. So the compassion, the great compassion or the compassionate love extended by the Buddha has no limit, not confined to any particular world system or living beings, extended towards every living being. In fact, when you read Metta Sutta, Bhutava Sambhavesiva, some living beings are in the process of developing. So we extend even towards them also, still not yet formed. Formation has not taken place. When the conception takes place in the mother's womb, formation has not taken place. But here this loving kindness applies even towards them. Dittava eva additta, seen or unseen or unknown, we extend towards every living being without any discrimination. Early morning, every day, for 45 years, the first thing the Buddha did, he extends this Mahakaruna. He get into Mahakaruna Samapatti. After extending this loving kindness, then he survey to find out whether someone is needed his support. Now then, you will come to know that so and so is in trouble now, needs my guidance. He is very cruel and wicked and endanger the whole country. I must go and correct him. That is how I spent the whole life. There is a very interesting story. So one day, when the Buddha was going somewhere, he met a young girl. You know, Buddha was a very handsome person. His features, complexions and serenity and appealing to everybody. And this girl invited the Buddha to her house. The Buddha knew why she invited him. Then the Buddha said, yes, I accept your invitation. When the time comes, definitely I will visit you. So they went in. So after many years, so one day, when the Buddha was extending this Mahakaruna and surveying, he saw this girl in her house. She was suffering from a very dangerous skin disease. There was nobody to attend to her. Neglected by everybody. But earlier, when he was young, so many rich people also spent thousands of dollars to go there for one day. And now no boyfriends, no relatives, no friends, nobody to attend to her. And she was not married also. She was suffering there. Now then the Buddha visited. Then the Buddha asked, sister, can you remember me? And this girl said, it's very difficult. Do you remember, many years ago, you invited me to your house? Then she said, maybe. That is why I promised to visit you. So today I came to fulfill my promise. I knew you are in trouble now. Due to your mistake, because of your immoral way of life, you are suffering today. All the others have neglected you because of your immoral way of life. But don't worry. I don't allow you to suffer in this way. Then he approached many others and advised them to come and attend to her, look after, provide all the necessary food and medicines for her to get rid of this problem. There are similar incidents for us to understand how he extended his Mahakaruna, loving kindness, without expecting anything from them. But we cannot help others without expecting anything. At least we must have thank. See the nature of Buddha's compassion. You cannot compare with another person in this world. Next one, Asaya-anusaya jnana. Asaya-anusaya jnana. When he surveyed a person's mind to tell him something or to preach him, then he radiate his wisdom to find out the nature of this person's mind, how he used his mind during his previous birth, what sort of knowledge, habit, experience that he is having at this moment. What are the hindrances for him to understand the truth? Why it is difficult for him to understand the Dhamma? By studying, observing, analyzing, then directly he preached to this person with appeal, penetrate directly into his mind. There is nobody else in this world who can do this. Pacceka Buddhas cannot do this. Arhantas cannot do this. Bodhisattvas cannot do this. Any other religious teachers also cannot do this. Only the Buddha can do this. So when there are some incident, after listening to one or two words from the Buddha, instantly, suddenly some people have attained sainthood, arahanthood. Then people ask, it's so easy. How come? This is the secret. Because he directly injected the idea into his mind. I think you can remember this, a story. A monk who had been meditating for a long time by using his full effort but could not gain anything. Finally he got fed up. He wanted to give up. The Buddha came to know this. Then asked him to come. What is wrong with you? Yes, I have been meditating such a long period. I could not gain anything. But many others spent only few weeks or 1 or 2 months. They have attained arahanthood and this and that. I got fed up with you. I go back. The Buddha then asked him to sit down. Then found out what is wrong with him. Then he knew he was given a wrong object for his meditation. His meditation master has given a wrong prescription. So he could not gain anything. Then the Buddha said, wait. He gave him a golden lotus flower. Concentrate on this. Now he is concentrating. Buddha is watching his mind. Now very easily he can concentrate. When he was in a deep concentration, what did the Buddha do? He changed the color of the golden petals into dark color like this. Then changes take place in his mind also. Formerly these lotus petals are so shining, very beautiful, now turned into dark color. Now changes take place in his mind also. So our body, all our belonging, at the beginning that we take, so nice, beautiful, colorful, wonderful, later can turn into same color. This impermanence is natural. Having seen these changes in his mind, the Buddha has created a vibration to drop the petals. Now he is holding only the stalk, the stick, no petals. Then again he started to think deeply, all these elements, they combine together as our physical body, one day, one by one, drop. Just like this. Why should I develop too much of attachment? Why should I misuse and abuse this? This is the nature. Again, he attained Arahanta. Then the Buddha revealed to others the secret. This person was a goldsmith during his many previous births. dealing with gold. Because he knew only object that can console, which appeal to his mind, is gold. This is called asaya anusaya jnana. To understand person's mind, what he really needs, what are the hindrances or difficulties for him to gain enlightenment. Group of people one day came to ask questions. Lot of challenges were there. The Buddha's teaching is so rich, philosophically, psychologically, doctrinally, morally, because of these dialogue, discussion, debate, challenges. Very brilliant religious teachers, scholars in India at that time. He had to handle them. So they came to ask questions, challenge. So one of them asked the first question. Then the Buddha knew that this person cannot understand anything. He's very dull. His name was Mogaraja. Mog means fool, Raja means, you know the meaning of Raja. Mogaraja. When he asked this question, the Buddha said, you better wait. He did not answer because he knew he cannot understand. Then the second person asked the question, he answered. Then again this person asked, I asked you to wait. Then he answered to the second person. He is very impatient. Again he asked, I asked you to wait. Then the third one asked, he answered to all of them. Then the Buddha said, now this is your turn. Finally he said, I have nothing to ask. What is the technique here? The Buddha wanted him to listen to others, how he answered. Then gradually, slowly, he also gained the knowledge. If he answered at once, create more confusion in his mind. This is the nature of this particular jnana, knowledge, wisdom of the Buddha. We cannot do that. The next one, Yamaka Mahapatiharya Jnana. Patiharya means miraculous power. People ask whether the Buddha also can perform miracles. There are certain incidents how he ridiculed this kind of miracles what people are talking today. To him there is no value at all. To him they are just like small children's way of playing. No religious value, no moral development, nothing. Curiosity sake. So this particular miracle he had to perform to reduce the pride of his own people, Sakya. You know, the Buddha's family is belong to Sakya clan, rulers. They are very proud by nature. They are the warriors, fighters, rulers. They also believe that others must respect them. So when he visited his hometown 7 years after gaining his enlightenment, all his relatives, elderly people, discussed that we should not respect him. We must allow small children to come and pay respect to the Buddha. He knew this. They are very proud. They don't want to respect others. At the same time he knew simply by preaching he cannot remove this pride from their mind. Therefore he must do something. Then he had to perform this a special miracle. Yamaka means twin, two. Yamaka Mahapatiharya Jnana. Two opposite objects like fire and water. Fire and water cannot come out from the same spot. Because these two things never agree, never come together, must come separately. So he performed this miracle to show all his relatives that the fire and the water come out from the Buddha's body. Or white color or red color. White and red also cannot come separately. When mixed up, turn into another color. So they are watching. They cannot understand. An ordinary man, ordinary religious teacher cannot perform this kind of miracle. Fire and water all over the body, spreading like current. Then they knew that this man might have gained something, some sort of wisdom. Then they agreed to bow down and respect him. This kind of rare miracle can be performed only by a Buddha. There is nobody else who could perform this kind of miracle. Then the last one is Anavarana Jnana. Avarana means cover. Anavarana means there is nothing in this world that which can cover his knowledge. Everything is open to him. No one can hide anything in this universe. He got the knowledge to see where it is, what it is. There is a peculiar incident. One of the Brahmas who had this pride in his mind, he is the only one who can perform this kind of miracle. One day, the Buddha came to know that this Brahma you know, higher than Devas, supernatural being, he is maintaining this belief that he is the only one who can perform this miracle. So the Buddha went to see him. They had a nice talk. Then he said, yes, I got this power. I think nobody else in this world who can challenge with me. Then the Buddha, can you show me? All right. Just like small children. He said, now I am going to hide. You better find out where I go then hide. He said, okay. So then he suddenly disappeared. And the moon, the other side of the moon. Now we can see only this side of the moon. Now he is hiding here. No one can see. Ask the Buddha to find out where he is hiding. The Buddha did not go anywhere in searching. He used only his knowledge. Then he pointed out, my dear friend, you are hiding behind the moon. So he had to come down. All right. Second time. Again disappeared and gone under the bottom of this earth. He was hiding. Then the Buddha said, there you are hiding. He had to come out. Third time, all right, give me another chance. Third time, under the bottom of the great ocean, he was hiding like a fish. Then the Buddha said, there you are hiding. Surrender. Then the Buddha says, now my turn. So I am also going to do not a very big thing like yours, small miracle. I am also going to hide, you better find out. He said, yes. So what did the Buddha do? He transformed himself into a tiniest creature, a naked eye even cannot see the size. and went to the eyelid of the Brahma, and he was hiding here. Asked him to find out. Now, this Brahma is turning the whole world upside down under the sun and the moon and the earth, and cannot. In the end, he had to announce, my dear Buddha, I cannot find out, I surrender, please come out. Then the Buddha said, what a fool you are. I am in your eye, you cannot see me. Here, there is nothing in this world that we can hide, we can close the eyes of the Buddha's wisdom eyes. These are the 6 kind of extraordinary characteristic, unique wisdom of the Buddha. Now you can understand in these only few items, to understand the nature of Buddha. That is why when others come and condemn you, you are worshipping a devil. You can understand to whom you pray and worship and respect, whether worthwhile to respect or not. Why we respect him? Because of these good qualities, virtues. Thank you. Akasattha Bhummattha Devanaga Mahiddhika Punyantam Anumoditva Chiram Rakkhantu Lokasadanam Ittauta Chammehi Sambhatam Punya Sampadam Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Devo Vasatu Kalena Sassa Sampatti Hetu Pito Bhavatu Loko Ca Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Idam Jnatinam Hotu Sukhita Hantu Jnatayo Imina Punya Kammena Nami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya.